left by this point in the pool to enable them to get first pick.
Let's get into it then. The final map here between these two teams. One of these teams is going to advance on in the lower bracket. One is going home on Battlefield of Eternity.
Battlefield map has been consistently banned by the majority of the teams in this tournament throughout it. But the fact it's come in, it's also had some of the closest games we have had. Is the situation where we can see Hanzo potentially getting on board very quickly, but for now, we're sticking with very familiar ground.
I can't believe we didn't see any adaptation with those bans other than the one swap of them. So interesting.
I want to bring up if we get a Malfurion picked up by Method in this, either that rotation, I'm expecting Fnatic to get it in the response, but Kirsten's ice blocks have been suboptimal from beginning to end in the series. If there is any amount of pressure applied to him whatsoever, I can't help but feel like Method, especially with the momentum kind of moving against them, that things kind of crumble apart. But again, Fnatic, it seems likely that we see that from at some point here within the 1-2.
Malfanzo?
Yep, or Garrosh Melf or something like that, but the Hanzo has such a high priority here. Blaze Hanzo, okay, that's still very acceptable.
Yeah, there's a lot of warriors that can have high value given the immortal stuns, and I would almost love to see Breeze play ETC here. ETC is so ridiculous, and I do feel like between the two warriors here, because Arcaner hasn't been a warrior for nearly as long as Breeze has, that there's a little more flexibility on that side of Fnatic, that they can make sure that they get that Hanzo for the race, and then also get Blaze as the strong defensive and solo lane hero that they've had, as well as the follow-up engagement or the setup engagement. Those two have so much synergy in those two picks.
We were already mentioning in previous series how much of a big deal the bunker can be protection for a hero like Hanzo, who against Genji is a little bit squishy. So the reaction from Method, they are going into their tank very quickly here, bringing out the Muradin, so that's just very solid frontliner, and we do have that Malfurion that Dread was alluding to potential concerns about.
There is not enough pressure as it currently stands with the Blaze Hanzo, because that wants to sit very, left or right is how I talk about approaching those team fights. It's very much you stay on your side, I'll stay on mine, and I'll let you know when I want to get an initiation. So I'm not too concerned right now, but that being said, even in the game where we had Mene on the Jaina, on Dragonshire, he single-handedly had multiple opportunities where he could 1v1 and draw what should have been a better ice block out of Kirsten. So I don't even think it takes a whole aggro comp as much as it is just one hero that trades well into a Malfurion and can pressure properly.
Jaina is currently available if they did want to go for, if Fnatic did want to go for that a little bit later and try and put the pressure on that way.
With the Blaze pickup and the Hanzo pickup, macro control does, reside heavily in favor of Fnatic. And so a Dahaka ban makes a lot of sense there, not only because of the comfort, but it limits the only remainder that we typically see in the offlane to be able to deal with that. Now it kind of caters more to the Sonyas, the Thralls, things of the like for Method.
I expected either Dahaka, maybe a Leeming, if Fnatic themselves didn't want to get it, but that makes a ton of sense to be able to get that Dahaka out of the way. It's been such a priority pick for both of the teams, but especially for Method and Aethero too.
You just mentioned that Li Ming. I would love to see that from Fnatic. I think that's an incredible call. It's one of Maina's top heroes for very good reason, and you can see it's done pretty well at this tournament. It gives you great poke onto the Immortal, great race potential. It is an incredibly solid hero in terms of the map at minimum.
Right, and before I would say that it may not be possible because Mene was always the Hanzo player, but they've shown in this series that Quacknix also can play the Hanzo, which opens up the ability to get those two heroes. And as we've seen from the Korean region, that's a strong duo to have as the backline on Battlefield of Eternity.
Method banning out the ETC. They, like you mentioned, stuns under boss can be incredibly scary under the Immortal, sorry.
But from beginning to end, I've talked about there's three heroes that synergize insanely well together. Johanna, Blaze, Hanzo. And with that Muradin ban, or ETC ban, I just feel like that leads into, again, that very much playstyle. The Condemn, Dragon's Arrow, Jet Propulsion damage output is, very difficult to deal with. And the biggest argument is, well, they're going to poke and prod, initiate on them. Johanna just goes, thanks for the iron skin, not worried about it, I'll come back when that's back up.
Ooh.
We're all coming in here, so this is likely going to be the second damage. It also means that, in theory, we did actually used to see a couple teams try to stack Crash Lightning it in the 4-man on this map in the past, but that talent has fallen quite a bit out of favor. And the Uther coming in pretty quickly, trying to go all in on that burst protection to remove some value from Genji.
There are some regions who still will stack Crash Lightning here, but with it taking 30 to even get the priority of heroes, I'm expecting a lot more of the sustain and constant poke that you get with Echo of the Elements, as well as the slows in the control with potentially Thunderstorm, although earlier in this series was Tempest Fury and said, last 2 picks for Method. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I mean, at this point, it's really interesting how these teamfights have to play out. I think if you kind of view Hanzo is going to be the only one vulnerable. Blaze and Thrall, amazing sustain on this battleground by themselves. Uther can hold his own, and the Divine Shield plus the bunker is going to keep Hanzo alive. So at this point in time, Genji plus the kill potential opportunities that we see Method pick up, they aren't going to be winning the race. They aren't going to be winning in poke. They just have to bring the fight and dominate it. Again, I can't help but feel like that adjustment with the Uther from Smexy here is going to be a very heavy play here. But then a counter response, the Lunara, to be able to spread the damage out with the Nature's Calling threat as early as 4, a little bit early there compared to the Hanzo, and then an Abathur, again, to commit to that all-in fight that they absolutely need to win at this point.
The double Genji potential here with damage over time from Lunara, something Uther does struggle with a little bit, and then moving into... Who's the solo laner for this team, just quickly? I'd assume it has to be Lunara because of the clear at level 4.
I think what you'll probably see is either Lunara or Genji, and then Abathur will had it to help get the immediate clear, because if he gets a free switch strike, plus he's one of the safest offlaners purely based on his mobility opportunities. But it's really not going to be a single one. It's more of just like, I'll help you with the Abathur hat to try and buy that time.
It's getting tough.
It is. Nature's Calling, you know, moving it up to 4 has generated a resurgence of Lunara, especially since you can pick it along with Splintered Spear, but here with an Abathur 2 Method are risking a lot in getting an Abathur in Battlefield of Eternity versus Strong Race. It doesn't come in until a little bit later for the Hanzo, but I still feel like, you know, when you talk about Lunara and the race, Poison takes time to tick through the Immortal's health bar.
Time for predictions.
I'm going with Fnatic. Not only do they have momentum on their side, their battleground history is pretty successful on Battlefield of Eternity. I feel like this is a moment where I go, they got a lot of what they wanted in the draft, and again, Method's been kind of crumbling here under the pressure in those win conditions.
Everything win rate wise is in favor of Fnatic when you look at it. There are a couple of good picks for Method, but I think the momentum has got to be enough for Fnatic, especially the crowd too. So Fnatic's got my vote.
Fnatic also have my vote. I think the Hanzo could just give them so much race potential. As long as they're able to avoid the Lunara, then I think they'll be fine.
I know you're going to flip-flop.
I've held steadfast for 2 series so far, and I'm changing. I'm going with Fnatic.
Okay, even Mike's pissed
Mike's
off.
so mad at you.
Wasn't me, honestly. Oh, that one was a hard one, though. That one was difficult. I like to stay true and kind of go the way I think the whole series is going to go for the most part. But there you go. 69%, 70% in fact at home believes that Fnatic is going to take this. For all the reasons mentioned to my left-hand side, I believe that with the resolute stance that they've taken in these past 2 games, I think that the momentum may have completely shifted in this series. And I think the crowd seems to think so as well. Let's check in with our commentators to see if they agree with what our concerns may be. What do you think, boys?
I think I'm disappointed in you, Clears. You have succumbed to pressure.
I'm still winning today, I don't care.
Fair enough. This is shaping up to be an exciting series, Clears, and I think we're both very excited for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, Fnatic, I did not expect that they would be able to bring it to that 5th game after the 2nd map, so I'm super excited for this, and they have a lot of momentum now.
That's right. Bring us the conclusion, boys.
All right, game number 5. Both teams, this is their lifeline. Either one loses and they're out of the tournament. Let's move into it. Battlefield of Eternity, Fnatic taking on Method.
And this is going to be a great one. So we have our 5th map finally. It all comes down to the last and final map. After the team in blue already had a 2-0 lead, they have now to engage their opponents once more. We have Shrimpy playing Genji, Arcana on Muradin, Kirsten on Malfurion, Nico Lunara, Thera Angel on Abathur. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Method!
On the right side, in the red, they've come this far. Bad Benny playing Blaze, Mene on Hanzo, Quatnix on Thrall, Smexy on Uther, Breeze on Tyrael. Give it up for Fnatic!
Money pick to victory. That's what we're seeing from Fnatic here, at least the attempt. But in builds, we have actually already a few adjustments.
Never change, Caldor. In the Epic 5 game, you come in here and you talk about money picks. Never change, Caldor.
I'm focusing on the important things.
That's the important thing is here.
Talking about important things, look at Abathur. Level 1, going into toxicness here.
Oh.
Now, that's something that we actually have seen in the days of old a lot, because with proper positioning on Abathur, what you can really do on the map is just get those toxin nades out everywhere. It really helps to slow down rotations of your...
Oh!
Okay. That came out of left field. Down she goes. Bambi is dead. Lunara is down. And that's the first kill of the game. Fnatic opening things up with a bang.
Hanzo with the auto attack over the wall, and he's gonna be able to get that kill, but Method's trying to answer back as they jump on the bottom lane and go for a fight, but they aren't able to get anything there as Fnatic just kites away and pushes out the wave. Method right now already hurting in the bottom lane with a kill, already going over to Fnatic.
Yeah, and the top lane isn't too much better. Of course, Abathur soaks the experience, but still, Blaze is pushing it in, and that forces the Genji rotation up to the top. And well, talking about that rotation, the point I wanted to make about Abathur's adjustment in builds is that if you place those mines properly, you can really scout out your opponent's movements and you slow them later on down on the rotation. So that is really something that can give Method a lot of map awareness if they follow down that path.
Also can try to wear down your opponents if you get more damage as well, which is going to be a pain for Uther to deal with, so things to consider there. As Tyrael drops the shield, Arcaner comes in looking to force a fight. He has a hat here, looking to put some damage on Breeze, but needs to kite away as Mexi drops down the stun to keep him there. At the same time, Blaze in the top lane is facing off against Genji. Schwimpy comes in with an Abathur hat, attempting to get him low on health.
And now Benny has, of course, to be careful here, because Abathur is really the one hero that offsets a one-on-one lane extremely, and is very powerful in that. But the wave play that we see on Blaze is going to be fantastic. But you can already tell how Fnatic is trying to use that now to their advantage, that they only face a 3-man at the bot lane. They're starting to pressure that. And we've been talking a lot about how much experience lies within these turrets. 500 to grab on early on in the game makes a lot of a difference. So if Fnatic is able to snipe one of those, that would be great for them.
Now they're working on the mercenary camps with that 230 mark coming around for our teams. The immortal spawns will be popping up pretty darn soon, so they want to clear it out. Hanzo, of course, helping clear with that level 4 pop in, as a scatter arrow will be the level 4 talent that's going to be locked in. And the immortals will be here in 20 seconds, so you want to get your lanes pushed out and make sure those mercenary camps are able to do damage.
When we're talking about build adjustments, Abathur indeed is currently following through with the level 4 talent as well. So they're going full into the toxic nests. And even Murden with slight adjustments, going into block, which we've seen in the tournament here, and he doesn't really need to go for third win, considering that next to Malfurion, we also see Abathur in the game, so that is really going to help them.
Also wanting to stay in the face of Thrall a little bit more. That block will definitely help out in that regard. Immortals now are up, and Nick will start the race here as he jumps straight on top of the Immortal. Quacknix to do the same here with Mene as they continue to try and shred down the race here. Already decent damage coming in from Fnatic, but Method not doing too bad for themselves either.
Yeah, another thing to also point out is that when you look at the talents, the level 4 is really interesting for Thrall here. Feral Resilience has actually been picked up over Mana Tide, which we usually see.
Looking to get a little bit more armor as he moves into those fights, wanting to stay alive, be a little bit more tanky as he holds that front line there with Tyrael. Breeze and Quacknix already doing so here. As Schwimpy takes some damage on the right. Oh, Wolf connects, but he's able to start retreating as he gets a nab of their hat.
And at that point, Kirsten definitely following it up with the deep roots. He has level 4 talent on Malfurion, trying to just get a bit more zoning capabilities for this map. And it is the halftime show. We are basically dead even at this point. Bit of a lead on the side of Method, actually. But Fnatic, of course, still have that hands-off factor. But right now, Nick going for the attempted poke here. And Schwimpy a bit far out, but they can't catch him.
Yeah, Schwimpy chasing Mene there, trying to get him low. And he did get him down to a quarter health. But the rest of Fnatic turns around. They put some damage on Arcaner. Bad Benny in the front. Goes to Jet Propulsion. Tries to stay alive. Gets the armor up. But Schwimpy is able to get the kill as Method finds her own.
Benny goes down, and that opens the map up for Method, trying to grab that first Immortal. Fnatic already attempting to put some pressure onto Schwimpy himself to maybe get a kill there. Arcana missing the Stormbolt, but also Quacknix on Thrall missing the Wolf, and they can't lock them down. Breeze at that front in trouble, and he goes down as well. Method with a double kill.
Deflect comes out. Genji won't take any damage, but the Immortal is the main focus here for Fnatic, and it looks like they're actually doing just enough to secure the win. The scatter arrows coming in and consistently popping it down, but Schwimpy trying to find a kill on Quacknix, but he gets hit in the face with a hammer and an arrow as he gets taken out by Fnatic.
One of the biggest problems when you play Genji into this setup is that you are playing into a lot of stuns. We're not only talking about Thrall with the Wolf, but more so about Uther. And once you get stun locked, then you are in a just horrible position here. Now, Schwimpy's thought process was, of course, going in, trying to get the quick kill, getting the reset, and then immediately zipping out. But Uther, in that case, was absolutely ready. Smexy saw that coming from a mile away and said, like, not going to happen on my watch, buddy.
Now, Fnatic has some pretty decent poke here between Thrall, and of course Hanzo poking away, doing some damage. They get the turrets here, but they won't be able to grab the fort at all. The well even standing here as Method goes for a fight. Arcaner leading the charge. She'll be from the side here, poking down on Quacknix, and that should be a kill. There's one, and Nick turns around and tries to get a slow, but it's only going to be a total of 3 kills to 2 as Method fights back.
And a lot of this came actually from the toxicness that we've talked about. Avatar has fully committed to the build and is by now on the level 7 talent, which means that we have those slows in play. It's one of the main reasons why Schwimpy knew exactly that he could get that kill, because he knew that Thrall would walk into the toxic nest, and once that happened, he could just simply take him down. So a nice kill again for Method. 3 kills against 2, but in the meantime, Fnatic could put more pressure onto that bot lane, where Abathur was soaking the damage, but could of course not quite keep up with the wave clear that Blaze has.
It's actually incredible how close these teams are in experience and how they've done it in every single game so far. Looking at it right now, 8.5 and 8.5 between these two as they move towards the level 10. Now, Method's got a pretty big push happening in the top lane, but Fnatic is already here to defend against it, and with Blaze holding the bottom lane, they should be fine. But remember, at level 10, when Abathur comes online, the ultimate evolution, we'll have double Genji on the field, which means Hanzo, who's already been under some pressure for the game, will be in a position where he can be picked off quickly, so Mene will have to be careful.
Yeah, Mene definitely has to be extremely careful in the setup right now. And on the other hand, once that we're going into the later stages of the game, the stuns that we are seeing for Fnatic is something where especially Schwimpy has to be super cautious that he doesn't overextend. If he tries to get a bit too greedy and goes in for a kill, they can definitely lock him down and take him apart here. As we see the Immortal spawning in 10 seconds, and that's going to be the big one. This is going to be about level 10.
I mean, there's rare pickings, but if you really want to lock down that Genji, we've seen Divine Storm in the past from Uther just to take him out, kill him quickly. We might need the Divine Shield here with too much damage coming out. That save button could be really good for Fnatic, but it is an option for them if they want to make sure they stop Schwimpy in particular. Now with 10 right around the corner, the Immortals are here, and Fnatic starts to rotate down the bottom lane. They want to clear out that mercenary camp first, get to level 10, and then come in to fight.
That top camp is a big problem for Method. They have to deal with that eventually. Fnatic is also going to hit that level 10 just slightly faster. Swift Retribution on 7 on Tyrael is already great for the increased attack speed. That's really going to help them to race these Immortals down. And with level 10, Fnatic immediately goes for it. They're jumping onto that Immortal, and they will race it to the halftime show as Method is still attempting to pick up the XP. Lunara has moved to the top lane to make that happen. Finally, heroic abilities for Method as well, but Fnatic has the lead on the objective now.
Yep, you're right. They get 10, but as you mentioned, the objective a little bit too intense here. Method will have to play defense. Arcaner instantly jumps in. He'll drop a Storm Bolt, but the Earthquake comes out.
Earthquake Bunker all in play here as they're trying to burst it down. Fnatic on the retreat here, at least for now, but Method has to play passive around this. They're trying to make exactly that happen, and in the meantime, Ethereal is putting on some of the damage, but Fnatic can just simply go back, tap at the well, and then re-engage into the battle.
Nick is trying his best to bounce between the two Immortals. He wants to be able to get some poison on top of that Immortal, but then come back and be in the fight. Arcaner looking for another engage here, but he gets hit with the Jet Propulsion. There's a lockdown, and Root also comes in as well.
Tranquility already used, but Arcaner jumped out of it. Now Method is trying to push the agenda, moving in deep with the Tranquility, but it's going to be over soon. Benny is low, they keep him alive. Now the X-Strike comes in, Divine Shield saves the target for now. Hanzo is still in play, and now Fnatic is trying to turn it around, but the good route from Curse non-Malfurion is saving them for the time being.
Sanification was used too, and immediately Method takes the time to jump straight on top of the Immortal, but Fnatic does the same, and Hanzo with the arrows is able to keep shredding through. Will they be able to get it? Yes, they do. Fnatic is the second Immortal of the game.
Immortal number 2, Lunara's overtime damage just a little bit too slow here, but a really explosive engagement between the two teams. Not a single kill, but it also shows a lot how many defensive tools we have.
All about control, and Fnatic able to get through. A little bit of an overlap between the Divine Shield and Sanification, but they had to be careful with Lunara's Stormwood Vines, constantly bringing out the poison. They want to make sure nobody got picked off, and Fnatic will be rewarded here with an Immortal push. They break down the first turret, and they'll be looking at the fort next, but Method, they want to stop it already. Arcaner with Burden coming around the side. Schwimpy gets hit there with some slowdowns, but he's able to Swift Strike out.
And here comes the attack from the side. Arcaner was already looking for that flank, but Fnatic is still pushing this in. They hold the lead in experience. They want to go for the fort, and they are going to get this one. Here comes the arrow, the engage, and down goes Lunara. Lunara is dead. They're trying to go for the counter kill. Thrall already dragged him in the Earthquake here. Mena is still low, but he gets the heal. And that's the copy also gone as Fnatic is pushing further in.
Smexy keeping Mena alive as it continues to dance between both Genjis coming in, and with the Immortal finally being cleaned up, Fnatic will attempt to escape. Should be trying to buy some time here on the back right side, but Breeze has him in his sights, looking to keep him down, wants to see where he's going to Swift Strike away and possibly chase him down. Goes in for the Elder and the Smite, but Schwimpy looks like he'll be able to retreat, so he's nice and safe. But Fnatic finally gets a 4 on the board, and they jump up in experience.
They get the camps here as well. Method, on the other hand, in a position, they have never won a series in HGC against Fnatic. They were in the lead in the best of 5 with a 2-0. It looked as if it was smooth sailing. A 3-0 was definitely not out of the question, but then the Swedes brought it back game by game, map by map, brought them to the 5th, and all of a sudden Fnatic is in the lead here. There's so much riding on this game. Whoever loses is out of the tournament, and Fnatic now has the momentum through the 2 games that they just won back-to-back, and the advantages that they have captured in this 5th game.
Now the question for me as we move in towards level 13, what do we get for Tyrael? Do we get the Holy Ground coming online to try and section off Smexy, or try to section off Schwimpy if he goes too aggressive, or even a Law and Order, which has been pretty useful in EU as you want to go for that damage. To me, I feel like the Holy Ground might be the way to go as you have that control, but it's going to be the Law and Order as an arrow comes out. Nick gets hit, he gets cleaned up.
Tranquility being used, but Lunara is already down. Every tool that they tried to use to save her was not enough. Fnatic with kill after kill against Lunara. Fantastic snipes, but now they themselves are in trouble. Sanctification gets being used. Fnatic with a turnaround attempt as Athero is about to lose the copy here, but Arcana was low, couldn't really stay any longer, and now Fnatic can take down that top fort. More experience in their hands, and they're trying to go for even more kills.
Method's not done. They want to keep fighting. There is an Earthquake available, though, if Thrall wants to drop that down, but he's continuing to hold it. The Immortals are up, and Schwimpy continues to try and harass Quatnix. But Fnatic, they are content here to keep shelling away on top of this Immortal as the scatter arrows fly.
A lot of toxicness, though, all around the Immortals. Fnatic has to be careful with those. The halftime show is not quite as easily reached this time for them, but they still hold on to that level 13. A small edge, but the nests are everywhere. That's extra damage, that's slows, that's also vision that Method is granted, and Method is trying to get that XP, but of course now the Hanzo factor is coming into play.
That's right, Breeze and Benny continuing to carve out a path here for Fnatic, and they are able to clean up that Immortal. 13 hits for Method, and again, they have to play offensive, and they do. They jump in immediately and go straight for Bad Benny. Schwimpy's low on health, he deflects, he tries to retreat, the jet propulsion comes out, but he gets away.
Benny wants him, but he doesn't get him. Schwimpy once again with the reflexes, moving away from this one. Hanzo dropped the arrow there, trying to make sure that Benny wouldn't fall either. Bunker has been used as well, a lot of cooldowns traded, but we still have the Divine Shield on the side of Fnatic and the Earthquake.
Arcana is trying to force it, he steps forward, he has a Storm Bolt available, he lands it on Mana, trying to get away, the root comes out, but the Divine Shield will make sure that he cannot get locked down.
And once again, Arcana moves straight into that backline, trying to confirm the kill against Quatnix. He's dropping the Storm Bolt. He doesn't secure the kill though. Tranquility has been used on Method's side, trying to sustain them through that fight as Fnatic again moves back and just repeats what they've done before. They tap at the fountain and they start moving in, and they already have such an amazing lead on Immortal number 3.
Method has to play aggressive. They can't allow for a scatter arrow to come through. They block a couple of shots already. Arcana holding that front line. Here comes Nick from the side.
Bunker
wants to spread down that poison. Sanctification comes out. Arcana going for the retreat.
The layer defenses are there. Now Method is trying to hold on, but they can't. Once again, the Immortal is down, but they're trying to get the kill. Arcana, he has no mana. He has no hit points, but they need to try and do something. Here comes the engage. They go for Lunara. They can't take her down. But here comes the arrow, and that's it. Lights out as Lunara dies, and all of a sudden it's hunting season, open season on Method. Fnatic gets the kill against Malfurion. They are in a 5 versus 3, and they have the objective.
Man, it lands a bullseye, but the main focus here is going to be that keep and the core. Can Fnatic push forward and get more here? They have a stun on Arcana, just supposed to follow up, and they just blow up a Muradin. They turn their attention towards infrastructure as they want to push forward.
Fnatic with full bloodlust on their mind is going through kill after kill. They burst through that wall, and at this point Lunara is back, but is that going to be enough to save the keep here? It's very unlikely. Malfurion also back on the battlefield, but this spells trouble as Fnatic is so close to level 16. If they take the keep, they have the talent advantage. If they can get a few more kills, they might even go for core.
Fnatic is low on mana, but they keep moving forward. They're going to use teamwork here to try to start moving in for the core. The Immortal is nice and healthy, still over 3/4 of health. There are heroics up in about 10 seconds. Dragon's Arrow in particular is huge. Sanctification and 20. Athero goes forward with the clone. The bunker comes out. Fnatic dances around the bunker and spreads out fire.
The bunker play once again absolutely on point here. The copy nearly burned down on Abathar. Fnatic is going for it. They want the victory and they want it now. Tranquility is being used, but they're focusing the core down. It's 60. Down to 60. They're going for it. And
50.
Fnatic, Tyrael is down. They
40.
go for it. The extra
30.
coming
20.
in. Fnatic,
10.
they make it happen. They go for the victory, and here comes maybe Benny.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
They don't finish it. It's on 7%. Fnatic threw everything against the core. Tyrael explodes too, but they cannot confirm the game. 16 versus 16, comeback experience in Method's hand. Unbelievable.
Method currently sitting at 7% on their core. No meal being available. Remember, they went into the Toxic Nest build, but they have to find a way to open up the map here. They go straight for a fort in the top right corner. That will at least start them on this comeback, but they can't afford for Fnatic to go for a backdoor.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you, man. We are going to the wire here in game number 5. Method putting it all on the line here as Fnatic was moments away from securing this best of 5. At least they get a fort here, but Breeze already coming forward. He's looking for Nick. Nick's low on health, but Arcaner shows up just in time to keep him alive.
They didn't have the sanctification in the last engage. That would have won them the game for sure, but they are not out of it yet. Method, on the other hand, is that victory, is that defense, even with only 7 points on the core, is that enough for them to somehow find just the motivation and just like the team spirit to go through this? The problem is Fnatic could backdoor at any point. They have sanctification and a Tyrael explosion.
Method cannot allow for them to get on this side of the map. The problem is they also can't allow for them to win an Immortal or the game is over. Fnatic, if they get to the core or within range, sanctification will surely in this game. Method's playing passively and doing their best to scout out as much as they can. The Toxic Nest will be helpful here to slow them down and get an idea of where Fnatic is.
Keep game 1 in mind. Game 1, Fnatic was down to the last keep and they somehow nearly turned it around. If Method can make that happen as well, that might be it. The copy on Abathar is already out. This is the team fight. Nick is low. He's really low. He's slowed. He's nearly walking into the stun here. Barely survived. Shrimpy had to dodge out with the X-Strike as well. And Murden jumps out as we see Malfurion drop his ult, go for the Tranquility and heal everyone up again.
Method is nice and healthy. A Thorough with that clone trying to buy some time. Gets Benny low. Also going to dive in. Arcaner goes straight and looks at Quatnix. Immediately Shrimpy comes in, but there's going to be a Divine Shield to keep Quatnix alive. He keeps poking away. He's resilient. He's getting the health. There's a massive sanctification to keep Fnatic here on their Immortal.
And once again, the poke is just happening. Arcana, he is just so active right now. He's everywhere. He enabled his team throughout the entire series. He played perfect games here. And he jumps into the backline with Abathar. He wants the kill against Smexy. He's going for it, and he gets it.
But now Smexy
is down.
Smexy heals Breeze, keeps him up nice and healthy. Minions turning around. They're trying to get Arcaner. Arcaner is trying to stay alive, but he falls. Shrimpy at the same time will pick off another member on the back left as Bad Benny gets taken away.
Benny is down. Benny is dead. And Abathar up at the top is also in a position where he needs to kind of push that camp back. That's not going to be easy for him either. Catapults on the core could end this game. We are 18 minutes in, but at least for now, Method is all of a sudden starting to look a bit better on the Immortal. Nick is racing it. Breeze knows that he can push him back, but can they still turn the tides of the objective here? Can Mena go onto the Immortal and burst it down with Hanzo?
This has been the MO of Method throughout the entire season of play. They are a team that is like a cockroach, so you cannot kill them. You have to get on top of them ASAP. And man, they find the Dragon's Arrow, but the immediate Nature's Cure keeps Nick alive. Shrimpy goes forward and puts pressure on Breeze.
Curson keeping them in the game here. Funara dies. It's all over. Murden still not back, but both of them, Blaze and Murden, are now on their way back to business. But this Immortal is going to fall, and Method will take it. That's the first Immortal, and it has 100% shield. Fnatic is known for their core calls.
Method.
They can make it happen.
They can if they go this top lane and sneak on by, but Method has to expect that, right? They have to scout it out. They have minds everywhere to see if Blaze is trying to go for that back door. And it looks like Fnatic is thinking about it right now.
Fnatic is actually trying to sneak up at the top. They're trying to sneak to the top. All they need is a sanctification. There's the Toxic Nest. That's the moment when Method backs up. Fnatic already trying to back up as well. And now Method is in that weird limbo where they have to go back, but they want to push. They want to get value out of the Immortal.
Bad Benny is showing that he's backing there. Another mine. Breeze gets scouted out as well. Method's fully aware of this, but they're going to go for it. They're done. They know they've been shown. Their hand has been dealt. Will Fnatic move forward and go straight for the core? Arcaner comes over and dissuades them away, while the rest of the Immortal continues to push in the bottom lane.
And Mena is already back. He's Hanzo. He's the one that they really need to burn down the Immortal. And he doesn't really help them too much on the core. They can finish this with 4. As long as they have Hanzo back, they can defend here. And that's exactly what he's for. The rest of Fnatic is now slowly moving back, and Murden still holding the top. He needs to scout it out, which is exactly what he does. And Method, they can't really do too much, but look at experience. Method is so close to 20 now, thanks to these kills and the structures that have fallen, that they will have a Storm Talent advantage in just a few seconds.
Fnatic needs to burn this Immortal before 20 hits. Shrimpy goes in, puts some harassment on that back line. Quatnix continuing to kite backwards. That 20 is a second away from hitting. When this keep falls, Method will be able to push the limit. Are they going to go for the core? I feel like they have to. Shrimpy immediately goes in. Bad Benny turns around and jet propulsions.
The X-Strike is there on the throw with the Earthquake immediately moving in. They burn the copy down on the Theory. The Immortal is definitely not going to do anything.
anything here. But what about the rest of the team? Once again, Method on the move back. The Simbit is helping out. They're trying to go for the kill. The X strike, the Swift strike. He moves out. They're trying to turn it around. Sanctification. Tranquility. Saving move here. And they are still not done. Once again, Arcana moving in, looking for the Stormbolt, but he doesn't find it.
Method is just holding on here. Breeze is low. He kites to his keep in the top right corner. Bad Bitty is alive as well. Nobody has fallen between either team. The core is still nice and healthy for Fnatic, but Method, they want it. They turn around and put some damage on that core.
Method knows that in the long run, they are still in a really awkward spot here with only 7%. Here comes the engage. They try to go for the snipe, but Quacknix is still alive. The turnaround at 10. Fnatic is looking for the kill. Extra coming through again. The bunker preventing the worst, but they're low. They're really low.
Mane looking for the angle, goes for the scatter arrow, it misses. Eldrarunes comes out as well. Breeze is trying to chase. Nick is kiting as much as he can, slowing down Fnatic. Fnatic can't get the kill. Curson keeps providing these heals, and Schwimpy is topped off again.
What a game, what a series, what a fantastic fifth map so far. Level 20, the advantages Method holds, negated by the core. Fnatic with the last stand, the last defense, sitting there as Method is starting to move in. Once again, trying to confirm a kill that would allow them to close out the series and win it all. Curson with the tranquility. They're scratching on the shields. They're trying to get them, but the copy on Abathar has expired.
Curson keeping more nice and healthy. The poison keeps coming on out. Smexy trying to kite away as he gets low here too. Eartha doing his best here to go ahead and get set up for a play. Breeze moves in, gets the Eldred. Schwimpy goes for the X-Strike.
They have to go for it. That's the kill. Uther is down.
But
there's no level 20. They're trying to turn it around. They get the kill against Genji. Fnatic with the counter kill. They don't have 20. 19 and a half. Once again the bunker. Once again they move away. And the poke continues. Nick is low. He gets through it. Quacknix sees the kill, but he can't go for it. They can't overextend here.
Mane just goes for it. He just dives in. He's going for the kill, and he gets it on Nick. Mane hops again to the side. Certification comes out. Curson being chased down. He's out of mana as Breeze wants his takedown.
No mana left anymore, and Mane, the Frenchman, is jumping and securing the kill against Sonara. Here comes the stun. Here comes the move. Malfurion. Quacknix goes in. The ice block is only delaying the inevitable. He is down. That's the kill they were looking for. Arcana attack. 11 kills against 11. What a game. What a finish as Arcana somehow tries to slow them down, somehow tries to survive. But Mane is back to business. The Stormbolt hits, but so does the arrow. Play of the game, and goodbye, Muradin.
Genji's up in 5 seconds. Method has no defense. 7% is on the core, and Fnatic will jump on their mounts. They were behind 2-0 in this series. Game 3 they won. Game 4 they won. And Game 5 they were resilient as ever as they begin to push this top lane. Schwimpy gonna do his best to hold.
Schwimpy's going in. He gets locked down into the ground. Once again, they're playing this slow. They do have 38 seconds on Sanctification, but the Tyral Explosion alone should be enough. The catapults are also there. They're trying to turn it around. They're trying to go for Schwimpy. They're trying to make it 100% that they're going to win this. And once again, Lunar with all the points. The X-Strike is there. They're going for the shield. They're trying to take it right now. Here comes the catapults. This has to be it. This isn't. Fnatic, they make it happen. The reverse comeback as Fnatic takes down Method.